Hi, and welcome. I want to talk to you about budgeting. Now, when I do my Finance for Non-Financial Managers workshops, I spend some time initially talking about costs, costing, cost allocation. We get onto how to prepare financial statements, and participants do. They are able to. Now, not going the whole bookkeeping, accounting route, but the process of them doing these financial statements that I ask them to do from information given helps them internalize what actually is in financial statements. So moving ahead then, we start looking at the financial ratios, which allows us to make certain judgments about how a company is performing, how financially sound it is, and so on. Then we come to the overall budgeting process, and I start off the session by asking the question to the groups that I've had, and there have been more than 1,000 odd people in these groups, so it's a big sample. What do you think about budgeting? And you hear groans, and eventually I draw it out from them, and here's the problem. They require, these are non-financial managers, to prepare budgets for their departments, their business units, and so on. It takes a lot of time. Let's just accept that they do as good a job as they can. They send it in to the powers that be, where it becomes consolidated in with everybody else's budgets. But when they get the official budget back, and it's got their section in it, it often bears no resemblance to the numbers that they submitted. Now, no consultation took place, so people then feel, well, this is a bit of a slap in the face. Am I an idiot or something like that? So this leads then to people padding budgets, making sales higher than, other way around, making sales lower to make them easier to achieve, and padding costs so that they've got more wiggle room in the money that they spend on the various costs. But all of this leads to a disenchantment with the non-financial managers. And so it's important then that we look at how the best way to get everyone on board is. Well, firstly, we need clear goals that are communicated throughout the organization. An understanding of everybody who works in the business of what is required from them to achieve the goals that have been set in the budget. And then clear guidelines as to how this budgetary process is going to be carried out, and the consultation regarding any changes to what people have submitted. So that's the process then. Now, the overall process, but then the nitty-gritties involve us having to estimate what our sales will be, what the cost of sales will be, and what the cost of all the other resources that we'll need will be. So that sounds easy, but there's a lot of work involved. And everybody should be involved, and everybody should be consulted so that they all feel part of this and on board. We also need to remember that it's not just about our sales and our costs and so on. There are external factors that we need to consider. Interest rates, exchange rates, changes in technology that are going to affect our business, increased competition that we might have, legislation, this could be labor legislation, any type of legislation that will affect our business or industry. We also need to consider that our suppliers may be faced with increased costs. For example, if our suppliers import goods from overseas, then a decrease in the value of our currency means then that we're going to have to pay more. And we also need to look at what's going to happen in our customers' markets, because clearly our sales depend on what our customers buy from us. And if they're experiencing problems with their sales, this is going to ripple back and affect us. So, of course, the year that we're in, 2020, doing budgets for the years ahead is going to be extremely difficult. So, yes, I don't envy people out there that have to do this. Now, I've included a link below which will take you to the article on budgeting that I wrote and that I've based this short chat on. And please subscribe if you find this useful. We don't bombard people with new videos every day, probably about once a week, so you won't be overloaded. And please share. If you know people who would benefit from this, you can share it on WhatsApp or LinkedIn and so on. I'd appreciate that. And good luck out there with all of this, especially in this time that we're living now. Thanks for watching.